Have you ever wondered if you could ever be able to grow your own sweet and juicy watermelon from your own small backyard? Well, I'm here to tell you that you can do it. You can do it because I did it. I did it on a trellis and I did it on the ground. Make sure you stick around all the way to the end of the video where I will show you exactly how you can tell when your watermelon is ready for harvest. My first plan for growing this watermelon was on a trellis, so I had to build one. I built two of the trellises because I was planning on growing this watermelon together with a variety of pumpkins. Our trellis was ready for the watermelon. Now let's start with the basics. Watermelons are sun-loving plants. They need at least 6 to 8 hours of full sunlight daily. They also love rich, well-draining soil with consistent watering. And patience, because these beauties, they take anywhere from 80 to 100 days to grow. But trust me, it's worth the wait. The watermelon was grown from seedlings that I had grown myself. I started my seedlings on the 4th of August 2024 and I transplanted them on the 5th of October 2024. I used some bone meal on my transplanting hole for some added nutrients. When transplanting your seedlings, make sure that your last frost date has already passed. You don't want your new watermelon seedlings to get frostbite. When growing watermelon or any other squash on a trellis, you must continuously thread your plants through the cattle panel. This is what my watermelon looked like as it was growing. From this point on, my duties was to look out for any bugs that might want to eat the tiny fruit that was growing, look out for pests, look out for molds, and any other thing that might disturb the growing of your watermelons. One other tip that you need to do, you need to remove most, if not all, of the tiny flowers and the fruit on one vine so that you are left with 1 or 2 fruit per vine. This is to help your plant to focus on growing bigger fruits on one vine. You just simply remove all the other unwanted plants and flowers, leaving only the well-established watermelon fruit. You also have to continuously amend your soil during the growing phases of the watermelon. You can use some general fertilizer or some compost like I like to do in my garden. My countdown to 100 days to harvest had begun. My garden was flourishing. I had an entire forest of marigolds surrounding my watermelon, with some comfrey here and there, and of course some butternut squash and some dumpling squash and various other plants that I was growing during the season. It was important for me to continuously check on my garden as it had been raining non-stop for the past few months. So I had to continuously check if my plants were not sitting on water because this could cause fruit rot. These are some of the watermelons that have been growing on the floor. As you can see, they've got other parts of the melon that have got a little bit of mud in them, but that's okay, I don't mind. With growing watermelon vertically on a trellis, My biggest fear was for the vines to snap because of the weight of the fruit. So I had to make a plan, and I took some of my daughter's ballet stockings and I tied them around the trellis just to give the fruit a little bit of support. Then from here on, it was a waiting game. The moment of truth is upon us. Now we will talk about how you will know when your watermelon is ready to harvest so that you can harvest it when it's perfectly ripe. The internet and gardeners will tell you there are various ways for you to know when your watermelon is ripe. These range from knocking on the watermelon, picking it up and feeling how dense it is, or looking at the yellow spot at the bottom of your watermelon. When I was doing my research, I had a couple of questions about these methods. First of all, I was asking myself if all of these farmers that have got acres and acres of land filled with watermelon, do they really walk around picking them up and feeling how dense they are and knocking on them, trying to hear if they are ready for harvest? So I dived deeper because I thought there had to be an easier way. This is what I found. What you have over here is what a typical watermelon vine looks like. In between the vines, there are nodes. The node of the vine, it's these little shoots that the vines grow as they stretch themselves through my trellis. In between the nodes, there's these even tinier nodes that are spiral at the end. These ones are called tendrils. Now the tendrils are the ones that tell us when the watermelon is ripe. And I found that all that needed to be done was for me to monitor the color of the tendril. The 26th of December 2024 was not only Boxing Day, but it was the day that I began my staring contest with this watermelon on this trellis. Day 1, the tendril directly on the node for that watermelon was starting to dry out. I had to walk around the garden and compare it with my other watermelons that were growing on the ground. We found a watermelon on the ground, and this one, the tendril is still green all the way to the bottom. All the nodes are still green, and the other tendrils on each side of the watermelon are still green. So this one is not ready to harvest. Back to the one on the trellis. 27 December, it was getting a bit drier. 28 December, 29 December, 30th of December, end of the year, and the tendril is getting even drier. This is the new year, 2025, and all of the bottom spiral part is completely dry. Well into the 4th of January. I kept checking on it daily, and on the 9th of January, the entire tendril was completely dry, and I believe this was the moment I was waiting for, so it was go time. On this day, I really appreciated my daughter's stockings for helping out in the garden. I had to untie it carefully because I was a bit nervous about it completely supporting the weight of the fruit. The watermelon looks great. In one of my reading, I saw that the color of the skin is supposed to be matte and not shiny, so I'm happy with that. So here I observed that the method of checking watermelon at the bottom, the color of the patch at the bottom of the watermelon was not going to work for me, because this melon was growing on a trellis and it didn't have any yellow spot at the bottom. So that method of checking was out for me. Now the other method that I had read up on was where you are supposed to tap the watermelon and hear if it sounds hollow. Being a first-time gardener, there was no way that I would know what it's supposed to sound like. So that method didn't work out for me, but for the benefit of your ears and mine, let's just tap on this and hear what it sounds like. Now, don't ask me if it sounds correct, because I do not know. Moving on to the ones growing on the ground. 12th January 2025, and this is what my in-ground watermelon looked like. The color is matte, that's a good sign, and with this one I expect to see the yellow spot at the bottom because it's sitting on the ground. Now the tendril is completely dry, and the tendrils on either side of the watermelon are also dry. Let's lift it up and see the bottom. There's that yellow spot. There's a bit of mud around it, but I can see it's yellow. So this one is also ready to harvest. The tendril is completely dry. The yellow color check was useful for me on this one. So let's see if the sound thing works. The sound test became confusing for me on this watermelon because I didn't know whether it depends on the size of the watermelon or if it depends on any other factors. Because comparing the two watermelons, this one is smaller than the first one, but both watermelons sounded hollow to me. So that's why I just rely on the dry tendril method. Best part is the tasting part. I solicited my little garden helpers to come and have the first taste of our very first watermelon for the season. I am very happy with the color of the watermelon. The seeds look fully grown and it was just oozing water as soon as I cut it. Let's see what my testers have to say.
Ha, I am there.
None. Yeah, yummy, yummy. No, keep eating. Don't mind me, just eat. Inamanzi, ne? Guys, we were not recording.
Yo!
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more helpful videos like this one.